this is kind of where I want to start. Is I'm curious, like, how are things going from your perspective? From a business standpoint. Like, I feel like, and the reason I want to ask this is because I mean, things look from my perspective, going to your store and your Bandcamp, things look well, things look good, and they look like your fans are receptive, which is all great. But I'm just curious because I know, like any business that I'm a part of, nothing has been normal since COVID. There's been no like consistency, and the economy's bad at some points, and then it's like it's getting better, but then it's also, is it not getting better? So I feel like there's always something to complain about. And so I'm just curious, like from your perspective, as we record this today, how are things going?
Good. Yeah, things are good. Things are in things feel settled for like the first time in I think the history of this business, for me at least.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of reasons for that. Like, I think the two biggest factors are like rapid growth coinciding with the pandemic.
Okay.
And the pandemic introducing false or inflated or exacerbated growth while there was actual growth.
Right.
So like teasing that shit apart. Oh, by the way, should I not cuss?
You're all right. Cuss away. You're good.
But teasing that apart and dealing with that volatility was very difficult. And we're still getting out of that sort of shit. And I'm happy. Like I am as transparent as it comes when like there's nothing you're gonna ask me that I'm gonna be like, well, I don't really want to tell you that, dude. Like I'm like it's totally
okay. I'm gonna take advantage of that.
Do it, man. We are very yeah, I think I was on a podcast a few months back and I probably said something that I said something about how much Surefire charges us or something for PR. And I guess one of them saw it and he was like, and it's like the 12th month we've used them, so it was a cheaper rate than they probably quote most people. So they were like, God damn it, you fucking
yeah.
But no, man, anything is on the business side is like, fair game for sure. I love data.
That's great. I do too. What do you mean by settled? What does that mean to you?
Means it's consistent. Consistent and predictable, and balanced, and doesn't feel like, because sometimes like being really busy sucks.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're never caught up.
Right.
And even if the money is great and cool, you just feel like you can't do all the other things that are either fun or that you do need to do because you're so busy just keeping your head above water with the day-to-day type stuff. So feeling like there's some sort of balance between the creative, the financial, marketing, just all this digital, physical, feeling like there's a balance is a really great feeling.
Balance. That's a great word. You talked about months. I just made a note about months, and I was curious. This is like kind of the nitty gritty weeds of the business that I'm kind of interested in. Do you have, when you're talking about predictable income, is every month look the same for you pretty much when it comes to revenue? Is it dependent on like if that month has a big new release or, and I also want, you can answer this in multiple different ways. Like, are there months of the year that are going to be slower? They're going to be like, you're not going to have as much revenue as, say, maybe, I don't know, December or November or whenever it is a big month.
For sure. So I guess the first thing to understand about the business is our business is the legal overarching entity contains both the label Colemine and Plaid Room, our store.
Right.
And so it's almost like operating two businesses within one, really, because they're very, very different.
Yeah.
And while they lean on each other in a lot of ways and benefit each other, they are very, very different in their
Mhm.
nature. So for a long time, we didn't have a good idea of what sort of profits Colemine was generating versus profits Plaid Room was generating. It was just, we'd do our taxes at the end of the year and we're like, well, all right, shit's cool. But we're like, but again, like back to we're just so damn busy. We didn't have time to like sit down and critically look at our like really drill into what we were doing and what
Yeah.
was working and what was not. It was just like, we're just keeping up.
Yeah.
So about towards maybe midway through 2022, when like shit started to get, the recession word started being
Right.
floating around, and all of a sudden physical sales went from being like, where's the ceiling? Where's the ceiling? To, oh, I didn't find the ceiling, but I sure fucking found the floor. Like just came out from under us sort of
Really?
thing. Well, not, I mean,
Are you talking about from the retail standpoint or from the label or both?
physical in general across the board.
Wow.
But well, because here's, and this is the reason I think we felt it so much is we pre-pandemic. So the company is owned by my brother and I, and both of us are very like data people.
Sure.
We both come from like science backgrounds. I was a biologist, he's a computer engineer. And so we're like, we love data
Okay.
and being informed by that. And so pre-pandemic, we were one of the earlier record stores to really come on board with Shopify
Mhm.
and like really get our inventory up to snuff. When we
Right.
opened in 2015, the idea of inventory in a record store was sort of novel.
Sure.
Like even with new,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
big box chain stores had it, but like if you were mom and pop, you weren't putting shit in inventory.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
you look at the PO, you put it in there. So as a consequence of building systems early, we scaled quickly.
Right.
And went from doing, a couple 100,000 a year to millions and millions of dollars in sales very, very quickly. And the pandemic exacerbated that, and we benefited greatly from that because we had systems. We had all the major label accounts. We have, direct accounts with everyone. And so we were in a position to scale. And so when you add the pandemic to that, we were just like,
wow.
And so while the like drop back down to reality in middle of 2022, like April, May, I think was when we started looking at our weekly and we were like, ooh, like that's different. Maybe it's a summer slump. And then it was like 2 weeks in a row and we're like, ooh, that's a little different. And so we were like, you know what we need to do? We need to sit, because we were also like the inventory was growing so fast. We were bringing in, pallets of records versus just boxes of records because we couldn't keep them in stock. So that was the first time we were like, you know what we need to do? We need a weekly financial in and out analysis. Like we need to know exactly what's coming in and out of here on both sides of the company every single week. And so that instead of being in a position of being like, oh shit, that didn't sell, we can be reactive, we can be proactive and not reactive.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I just wanted to throw in this idea of this quote I love, that's what gets measured gets managed. And it's like, it's so nice to be naive and ignorant to what's happening. It's bliss. But for you to actually like sit down and say, okay, let's measure this. It's way better for any business.
Yeah, 100%. Because what was happening was stuff was selling so much, but the stuff that wasn't selling or the weaknesses were masked by the overall, the gross numbers.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. The gross is higher than it's ever been. So we're like, cool, shit's great, right?
Yeah.
And then when sales slowed down and we already have, represses in motion and we've already pre-ordered 500 of the new Mo 5 from, Analog Productions and all this shit. And then these bills are rolling in and things are slow. All of a sudden we're like, fuck. Like we're left holding the bag.
Yeah.
And so we started doing these weekly meetings to sort of analyze, like, all right, what does this look like? And the consequence of that has been incredible because we've been able to get a hold of how much are we making a week? What's the profitability look like? So to answer your original question, it is predictable. The shop side of things is pretty steady as she goes. There are, weeks throughout the year, record store day, anniversary sale that you're going to do more than normal, but it's pretty predictable. December's crazy.
Yeah.
December's absolutely nuts.
I bet.
So those are the big high points. But for the most part, the shop is steady. The label is volatile as hell because, you have a big release. Maybe there's tons of expenses that month, and then maybe you get, it's very up and down. So the coal mine profit throughout the year is funny to watch because like one month it'll be like negative 100,000, and then the next month you're like 200,000 in the positive. So it's just like
sure, okay, that's good to know. I appreciate that transparency. It's interesting because when you're talking about like measuring your profit and loss and your inventory, you're saying a lot of terms here that I think are kind of gross to our audience. There's things that like are not normal coming from someone sitting in like a cool looking recording studio with long hair. Like this are just, I'm surprised you're not wearing a suit. So what benefit do you see in this? I mean, I'm being the devil's advocate here because I completely agree with you. And I think being analytical and close to the numbers allows me to be more creative, to do more fun, cool things that warm my heart. But, there's stuff that you're saying that's kind of like inherently gross to us as artists. Like, don't you agree?
I don't know. I love that shit. I think it's
okay. Then why would you tell people to be more like you, like label owners and creative business owners, to be more analytical?
Because I get to keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's true.
I was a teacher. For I was a high school public school teacher for 10 years. And if I don't look at this, I don't get to keep doing this.
That's right. Yeah. It's like running out of gas. You got to look at the gas gauge. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and it's not necessarily like, I think Bob and I are unique, somewhat unique. We're not special. We're just stupid dudes from Ohio. But like I think we are unique in that we are both very analytical.
Yeah.
And so we sort of inherently have a desire and maybe certain skills that we can apply in this situation. But if you're someone who doesn't like it or doesn't have those skills, then you probably need to have somebody on your team that is or is doing that at least somewhat periodically.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because if you're just bleeding out all the time, then like all the fun, cool, creative shit, like making records that
I know. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that for our audio listeners. I know right now, folks, you might want to, if you're listening to the podcast, you might want to pause and hop over to our YouTube channel in case there's some visuals happening. And of course you can see how pretty both of us are. So, what I want to ask you, because first of all, I love that answer. By the way, that was a great answer about just the idea of keep doing it, to be able to keep doing it. That's so smart. I'm skipping far ahead in my questions here to talk about the record store, because you have the record store and you have the record label. I think it's one of the greatest unfair advantages for a record label is to have basically music fans, record collectors coming into their space, their office, whatever, every single day with money in their hands looking to buy records. It's like, to me, it's almost, and this is slightly hyperbolic, but I almost feel like every record label should have a retail store. Like, it seems to me like, yeah, don't you want to sell records? It's so hard to reach people with the algorithm today. So just tell me a little bit about how it impacts the label. And also, not just from a financial standpoint too, but like learning about what music fans like and want.
Yeah, man. I mean, kind of like nailing the whole goal early on. So the label existed before the shop. I ran it while I was a teacher for about 9 years. And then my brother and I both had backgrounds in like selling records. I started selling records when I was like 12 on eBay with
Oh,
my dad. We were like selling 78s and 45s,
nice.
and my brothers also learned it from dad. So like we understood how to sell used records and how to flip stuff. That's how
Sure.
I paid. Like it's how I paid for college,
Wow.
cash.
Wow.
And so we knew we had like that sort of knowledge base, and but how to run a record label was like, fuck, I don't know, man. Like I don't. There's no school for it that I know of, especially in 2014.
Sure.
And so our thought was, okay, if I'm going to quit teaching and Bob's going to quit being rich as a computer engineer and we're going to do this, the label felt like the thing that could potentially scale and be much larger than the store, right? But how are we going to do that? And the store felt like the store will be the greatest educator because it will not only plug us into customers, but also now as a store, we are the target from label marketing. We are at least the
Yeah.
observer of it. We
Sure.
are watching Warner market this to customer or to us
Yeah.
or Sub Pop do this stuff. And so from that vantage point, we were able to go, all right, what works? What do we like? What feels good to us? And that's what we're going to do as a label.
It's genius.
And I think the result of that is I think retailers really trust us
Mm.
because we don't serve them up bullshit, and we do our best to provide them with resources and you know give them things that help them do their jobs easily because we know what it's like to run a store.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a promotional thing from a label that might sound fun from the label standpoint. They might be like, "Oh, shops are gonna love this," and we see it and we're just like, "Fuck!" We just see a bunch of work. We're just
Yeah.
like,
Right.
"Fuck!" Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so that to answer the question, like they massively inform each other and help each other. And one of the unique things I think is that I agree with you. I think every record label should have a record store. I will say it's hard to run a great record store is really hard.
Mm.
And the cool thing I think we've built is you could tease both these companies apart. It's not as if one hinges on the other.
Okay.
Uh, you could tease them both apart and they could both be separate companies and
Yeah.
be totally fine. But together, there's a cool thing,
Yeah.
that if you're a fan of the label and you come in the shop and, the guy that played drums on this record is ringing you out and,
Yeah. Right.
like
Right.
just,
Right.
it's just fun. It's fun.
Yeah. On that note, how does the record store, I'm going to ask you later about how it informs, which you've kind of touched on already. How does it promote the label? Are your customers in your city, are they aware that this store is also a label? Do you have like an end cap? Like, are you biased towards your label in the store?
Oh, I am 100%. If
Yeah.
I'm at the counter, and someone mentions anything that could be loosely connected to something we release, I'm gonna 100% be like, "Oh, are
Isn't
you
that
with our
like
label?"
that's like insider trading, I feel like.
It is. It's the only time the industry. It's the only time the industry like really leans in our favor. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to take it. Like record store day is like the day when
Yeah.
like Plaid Room and Colemine truly get to be a massive benefit to one another because we can double dip that day. We can go, cool, we're going to release a Colemine Record Store Day release. It's an official title. And we're also going to sell it retail through Plaid Room because Plaid Room is a record store day of,
Right.
pledge store. And so that's like the ultimate incestual whatever sort of thing happening. But
Yeah.
but like to answer your question is like, I think a lot of people know about it, but not, it's still shocking for as much as we like hustle it with like events and like pushing it on socials and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I want people to just feel like this is a great record store.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like they're being overwhelmed by Colemine.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you get to a point where it feels like it's a gift shop or something. From
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
We don't want that. No, there's like a wall that's dedicated to it, and we have lots of like, marketing materials up on the walls and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
And we're pushing it, but it's not like at the end of the day, coal mine sales within Plaid Room are not like a drop in the bucket.
It alphabetically, all of your releases just happen to be next to Taylor Swift's
Yeah,
records.
yeah, yeah.
Just happens
100%.
to
You're
be.
like, oh my gosh, you're buying the new Taylor Swift? That's crazy. You're gonna love this new Andy
Y-
Gabbard record.
You're,
Like
it's a bundle. You have to get it as a bundle.
they've never worked together, but they're definitely going to
They're definitely
probably.
going to. So what about I think I've asked this before to other people in the retail industry. It's something that, I mean, I love talking to you about retail because I go to record stores every week and I love it. I love the experience. I love running a label. I love making records. So that marriage to me is like the original marriage. And I'm curious about things like a color vinyl. We can talk about your this little die cut Magic Eye project you did, which is incredible. But stuff like this, marketing stickers, hype stickers, Obi strips, QR codes. Can you give us some insights into, like, do these things not matter at all? And you're talking about record labels who are promoting to you as a retailer, and you're like, this is stupid, who cares? So kind of give us, and you can take an hour if you need to, like, give us all the information about making records that people want to buy.
Oof. Okay.
We're gonna crop this and make it a micro course once you're done.
Okay. First of all, I think the number one thing of all the things you just listed that matter, in my opinion, is the hype sticker.
Whoa.
I think
Pause
I
right
think
there. Pause right there. Let everyone just soak that in. Okay, go again.
for
That's
real,
incredible.
I think it's massively, massively underutilized. Because if you walk into Plaid Room, there are 31,000 new LPs in that store on that floor at any given time.
Mm.
How in the fuck do you expect someone who's never heard of your band, never heard of your label, to look at your abstract fucking art and go, you know what? I think I'm going to take a chance on this shit.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Like, people don't have infinite cash. Records are not $6. They're $25 or $30. So our hype stickers serve a lot of purposes. If you look up coal mine hype stickers, a related search will probably be like best hype stickers in the game or something like that, because they're all branded with like our blue at the top, and they're big. They're 4x3. So they're branded with like, they all look the same. Blue top, white 2/3. Cat number, artist, whatever. But then really big as shit, the most basic, bare bones, common denominator description of what it is. And sometimes artists don't like, artists hate reducing their art to like 4 words or 5 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, we're trying to sell your record and make you new fans.
Yeah.
We got to give people something to like understand what this is about. So, things like country fried indie rock, or, just like basic, heavy Brooklyn Afro funk.
I always love it too when they include the instruments, or you know what I mean? Because it's like, I know if you list 5 instruments, I know what this is going to sound like and whether it's up my alley or not.
Yes, San Diego instrumental cinematic soul. Like, cool, I get it. Heavy drum breaks, please sample me Jay-Z. Whatever the hype sticker is. And then the other thing we put on the hype sticker, so that's one. That's for the customer to like be like, oh, I think I might like this.
Yeah.
Maybe the artwork catches their eye, and then they look at that and they're like, ooh,
yeah,
this sounds cool. And then below that, we put, first of all, we put the barcode on the hype sticker, because putting the barcode on a jacket is cringy as fuck and gross. Don't put a barcode on the hype sticker. Also, or I'm sorry, don't put a barcode on the actual
because it's
jacket.
not needed once it's checked out.
Yeah, and also, if you make different variants that have different barcodes, now you have to make different jacket art files.
Right.
Whereas if you make a 3,000 run and you do 3 different colors of 1,000, instead of making 3 1,000 run of jackets, you can just do one run of 3,000 and 3 different runs of
For
stickers
sure.
because that's a hell
Yeah.
of a lot
Beauty.
cheaper.
Beauty.
So, but also on the hype sticker, we put who mastered it, who cut the lacquer, and who pressed it.
Love it. Are you describing the color, the variant as well?
We're putting what color it is, a little dot that indicates the color. And then if it's a limited pressing, we'll put it the number that it's out of. And if it's not limited, there's just no number.
That's a great idea. And and you do that by hand, right? That part?
We don't do that by hand.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No, it's printed.
Okay.
We did it by hand in the early days, but
Yeah.
I can't write that much.
That's fair. And I think it's I know that this would be harder to do depending on how many colors you're printing these stickers in, but like I think it's Taylor who does like shows the actual vinyl on the hype sticker, like what the color looks like, which I think is a great idea.
I don't know if I have any records. I don't think I have any to actually have stickers on here, but yeah, we don't have a picture of the record, but we have a general a color that indicates like, transparent red vinyl or like a small description of it. But it's like those hype stickers are just so functional. And from a branding standpoint, at this point, all of our shit, if you happen to buy a Monophonics or a Seishishi record and you remember that had this big blue thing on it, the next time you're in the store and you see one of those, you're gonna be like, oh, that's it,
And all the best, I love it, Terry. All the best labels do that, in my opinion. They all kind of have that sort of connection, and I think Obi strips or hype stickers is probably the best way to do it.
Love an Obi strip. International Anthem does great Obi strip / hype stickers. They
like all in one, like basically putting the information you talk about, but on an Obi strip.
Yeah,
I love that.
And they'll put like press quotes, and then the back of the Obi, they put like catalog and like general label info.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that.
I love it too. Yeah, I've never done one though.
Oh man, Obis are so sexy. God, they're sexy. It's crazy.
They really are. I had a record recently. The new Peter Gabriel has not an Obi strip, but like what do you call it? Where it's just like the card on the spine.
Yeah, a U card.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't hold itself on. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's a cheaper way to do, because why Obis are expensive is because you have to wrap them and glue them.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
That's the expensive part, because we've gotten quotes for them, and the folks always come back and they're like, well, you could do this, U card on the spine, and I'm like,
no, they don't stay on. Yeah.
And they just don't look as cool.
No,
like it doesn't look cool. But so that's the hype sticker. I'd say is massive.
One second. I gotta ask you about this because I've talked about this. I personally haven't done it yet, and one of our listeners did it on a cassette, and it looks super cool. But the idea about putting a QR code, which has come around again post COVID, on the hype sticker or the Obi strip that says sample here. What do you think about that? And then taking them to, I don't know, SoundCloud
smart URL or something.
Yeah.
I'm into that idea. I like it. We haven't really incorporated it yet, but the only reason we've talked about it a lot. The reason we haven't incorporated it is really just because we already have these like perfect hype stickers that there is no more real estate on it.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, we gotta, because to me, a QR code is kind of ugly.
I agree. I agree.
But I tell you what, it looks nice is the Spotify QR code.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I don't like the idea of just doing one DSP, and also I don't think the Spotify like code is as obvious or ubiquitous as far as the consumer as a QR code. Like I don't think people would know that you could, hey, go into the app and then take a picture and then,
Let me ask you this. What about, does the QR code, especially if it takes them to a streaming platform, does that offend the retailer?
I mean, I am totally unoffended by that.
Like, I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, to me, like, quite honestly, bitching about streaming is sort of like of fools. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why don't you just go like throw a rock at the sun or some shit? Like
I'm
I don't know. It's strange to me when I hear retailers like complaining about it. I think about it as like it's such an easy way to like discover stuff. Or like
yeah,
if I recommend something that we don't have in stock, I can be like, yo, look this up, go listen to it and see if you're into it. If I don't have
totally.
an open copy.
And I sorry, I'm on my phone right now because I'm looking for somebody who sent me an example, and I'm not sure if I can find it, but they sent me an example. And it was actually just a circular sticker, and they did it in a kind of cartoony way that was like sample here or sample this now, or it was really cute.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah,
think that's smart. I like that idea. I think eventually we are probably going to start rolling that out.
yeah.
Sure, my design, my hype sticker marketing crew will be super geeked when they have to redo all the hype stickers
Well,
every
you
time we
could throw another
repress.
circle sticker on. I know it's a little bit more money, but you could maybe throw another.
Oh yeah, little baby circle on there.
Yeah,
I'm into it. I'm
yeah.
into it. I think it's smart. I think it goes back to the other massive thing that I would say is
Go
like
on.
how to make an impact at retail. And I've said this till I'm blue in the face, and shops and labels don't believe me. If you want to sell records in a retail setting, give the retailer a copy of the record.
Hmm.
That's it. Like that there is, it's
What
not
for?
rockets.
What are they doing with it?
Well, it's not rocket surgery. They're going to play it and then they're going to sell your record.
Yeah,
Like, because otherwise we're back to the same thing of like, what's it sound like?
yeah,
And they could actively go look it up for sure, but people go to record stores to be turned on to new shit that they don't
yeah,
know about.
yeah,
Um, the world is full. We live in a world where there's however many tens of thousands of songs uploaded to Spotify and Apple every day.
yeah,
Somebody has to filter through that shit, and record stores are a traditional like filter
yeah,
and
yeah,
tastemaker. And so if you send them a record and they think it's cool, they're going to play it. And then when they're playing it, people are going to go, "What is this?" And then they're going to sell it.
yeah.
And it's like, that's it. It's a tale as old as time.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I've experienced that too. I just gave a record to my friend who owns a record store, and he played it. He played it on a live stream that he does in the shop, and they kept selling them because of that. And it's
Yeah, man.
not just the sampling, but it's also them endorsing it too. There's got to be a bit of reciprocity, I guess, you earn with the store owner because you're giving them something for free.
Yeah. I mean, we started, yeah, 100%. We started doing like we don't ask anything of them. We just ask them, here it is. Like
Yeah,
that's because that's always been, I think, maybe to my detriment over the years, like I am not a great, as much as I hustle, like when I'm in the store, I am not, I am not the type to like oversell or I don't know. Sometimes when you talk to like managers or like PR folks, they're just like totally fucking overselling shit. And
yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah,
bro, it's fine. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's cool, but it's not what you're saying it is. Like,
Right, yeah,
I much prefer, maybe it's the Midwestern in me, but I much prefer to undersell and over deliver and be
yeah,
like, hey, if you like cool shit, yeah, check it out. Hope you like it. And
yeah,
then leave it at that. And if
yeah.
don't hound them and be like, have you spun it yet? Are you playing it? How many have you sold? Like, don't
Yeah.
get weird with it. Just let them decide if they like it. And so we send out about 175 to 200 promo LPs
Wow.
every LP cycle.
Wow. And so they're going to the stores. They're going, are you doing something special with them? Like writing a note with it and taking the cellophane off that's very clearly for this store?
We take the cellophane off. We do two more things that let stores know we get it. We
Yeah.
take the cellophane off.
Yeah.
And we put these Colemine branded promo only, not for sale, pink
Okay.
hype stickers on there, just
Okay.
like Warner Brothers used to make.
Okay. Yeah. I remember those.
So they look just like it. It's almost as if we took an old one and scanned it and then just put our logo there.
Almost.
One might think, but so we put those on the jacket and then we put those on the box on the outside so that when the store sees it, they know like,
This
oh
is
shit,
it's a gift.
It's a new promo from
Yeah.
Colemine. Cool.
Yeah.
So we do that, and I think they love the stickers because it's like a clear like call out to that time period.
Yeah.
But also, this is a thing I don't think anybody else is doing. We make white label promos.
Okay.
So not like just a plain white label on that record. Like they are whatever the design is on the label, but they're white. They're white printed labels, and they're just for the promo copies. So
Wow.
we make 200 of those, 250-ish.
Yeah.
Because that's how they used to do it. In the 60s and 70s, you had white label promos that went out first. And,
Okay, give me some more details here. I'm loving this. So when are the record stores getting this on average with respect to the release date?
2 to 3 weeks before.
Love it. And so the artwork is the same, like this jacket's the same?
Everything's the same. It's the full jacket, full record. The only thing that's different is like, if it's an orange label with black text.
Yeah.
It's a white label.
It's a white label.
Text. And it says promo only on it.
And it is the same. Oh my gosh. And there's a prestige to that too, eh? Like it makes the label look really cool.
It's a swag piece.
Yes,
you're like,
it is.
You're like, oh, you sent out a blank white label? That's cute. We printed up fucking white labels.
Yeah.
Like we just printed them up. Because it also lets people know, like, man, these people get it. Like they get how records used to be marketed. And this is not only like making something special for us in particular, but it's like a callback to an older, simpler time of marketing music via stores.
Do you have any kind of policy or unwritten policy about like, can the stores like not, I guess they can't resell them. Could they do them as a contest or like?
Yeah. We always put a letter in there and we always put the same thing. It's like, all we ask is that you don't sell it. Mm-hmm. I know some shops do. And I don't, truthfully, I'm not going to like, I'm not going to like be like, we'll be at your door, dude.
Yeah.
See you in the fucking morning. But it's like, we just say, hey, please don't sell it. Use it for in-store play or as a giveaway or as a gift, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I know some shops just like maybe hook up their homies with it.
Sure.
But it's like, at the end of the day, if their homie is that big of a freak for the label, then like,
that's lovely.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so yeah, those are the two. Obviously not everybody needs to go insane and print white label promos and shit like that. But like the idea of giving them a copy of the record, and, asking little, I think goes a really long way because, how are you going to stand out when every week there are 200 to 300 new UPCs that come out and street every week, and the buyers of these stores have to decide what are they bringing in and what are they not bringing in and how many are they bringing in, and you got to stand out somehow.
I have two questions about this. Number one is, do you see anything like this come into your store? In any similar fashion, or like a record label's own version of this that you admire? And then my second question is going back to the beginning when we were talking about analytics and quantifying this. How have you measured whether this is worth a maybe $4,000 or $5,000 investment?
Okay, first thing. I have seen some stores or some labels do this sometimes.
Yeah.
With like priority releases. And like we get a package, a care package from Big Crown the other day that had a bunch of their comps in it and a bunch of stickers. But I don't honestly, and this isn't like tooting our horn, I don't see any labels doing it with the consistency that we do it with.
Sure.
Every single release gets this treatment. And let's see, Sub Pop used to do it. They would send out white label, white jacket promos.
Okay.
So like just plain label, plain white jacket promos, which is cool because then you can at least play the record. So that was cool. I think a lot of labels, if you hit them up and you're like, yo, we love Light in the Attic, or we love Numero Group or ATO, I think they would certainly send you stuff as a shop. But, proactively, it's pretty few and far between.
Yeah.
I mean, I consistently, from stores over and over and over and over again, I hear, you're the only label that does this.
Wow.
Nobody else just
So
sends
now
us
every
promos.
store knows who you are because you're the only label who does that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and we get shops that hit us up that like, hey, how do we get on that promo list? How do we get those?
Yeah, I want to get on that
promos?
promo list, man. I got a shop up here, right here, just me.
Where are you at, by the way, geographically?
Just outside of Toronto.
Okay, I was gonna say I heard you know, a couple little tells in your accent
Yeah,
there.
am I
I was
Canadian?
like,
Yeah.
I go up to the Boundary Waters on the Canadian border like for like 3 or 4 weeks a year
Okay.
in canoe
Okay,
up
cool.
there.
Oh, nice, nice.
So I
You
was
heard it.
immediately
You
I was
heard it.
immediately attracted. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm on vacation. But to answer the other question, I will say it's very hard to quantify
Mm,
the value that it brings. I can tell you, you know, the cost is, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of if an LP costs an average of, you know, 650 per, we'll
okay.
say.
Yep.
And you know, the mailing costs us right around $5 or so bucks. So we're talking about whatever that math is.
Maybe 3,000,
200 times.
2 to 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know, when I look at our physical sales, especially with like new artists or anything like that, like most of our records, even with a brand new artist, we're selling, and this is not just because of this, but like we're selling between 3,000 and 4,000 LPs and
Wow.
1,000 CDs maybe.
Wow.
And I think if we hadn't done all that stuff, we wouldn't be moving those sorts of numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know that you like to have the data, but you can also probably, there's enough anecdotal data for you to be like, these store owners, we've earned something with them. We've earned their respect, their trust.
Yeah, and it's like if you're going to spend marketing dollars, you know, especially with like projects that you're really trying to scale, when you look at that spend versus, I mean, PR or a music video or stuff like that, it's like, this is nothing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, yeah.
And this sells, you know, you get a premiere on Vader, you get a whatever on whatever that we all know doesn't do shit anymore. What does it, like, how many records can you say that sold? The answer is probably not very many. It's probably single digit.
Yeah.
But you know what? The other thing is about the promos is they're way more long term. Let's say we get a, I don't know, what's a good piece of press? A Pitchfork review.
Okay.
Which we've never got because nobody gives a fuck about us.
Yeah.
Let's say we get one of these hip ass Pitchfork reviews. Shout out to Pitchfork. Give us a Pitchfork review. And they give us a 9. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Pitchfork gods, for blessing us with this 9. Cool. Maybe our streams uptick for a sec. Maybe we move a few LPs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 24 hours later.
That's right. It's deep. Yeah, it's gone.
Right?
It's so
that
true.
promo copy that you sent to that record store, if that store owner or that clerk or the whole staff digs the label, digs the record, digs the artist, they're going to have that for eternity, theoretically. And they're going to be able to continue to play that and sell it way beyond the release campaign, which is why we see catalog sales for us like continue to move through retail because shops like a record and they're like, cool, you know.
Well, if you're doing this for every release, you're adding to that relationship every single time and kind of reminding those stores about those other records.
Yep, 100%, man.
Oh my gosh. Yep. What would you say to a label that doesn't have international or national distribution? They just do their own shipping. I mean, this seems still like a good idea, assuming the music is fantastic and the packaging looks really cool. I mean, that's something we haven't talked about. That's kind of a given, but it's not for a lot of people. But like, let's say it's a really, really great record. Is this something that like, I don't know. Is this something that a label should do if they don't have distribution, if they don't have a big back catalog?
I think so. I think if you don't have distribution and you don't have a big back catalog, I think you have to be a lot more tempered and individual with it. But I think it's no less powerful. You know, like we are we have the luxury of having these relationships at this point, but it's because I built them one by
Yeah.
one. It's
Yeah.
not like somebody gave me an email list and all of a sudden you got it, because that's not the answer. I can
Yeah.
give everybody our email list and it won't do shit
Yeah.
because buyers are overwhelmed with emails. They're inundated with emails.
For sure. Yeah.
But what we've built is individual trust by going into the record store, giving them a promo, letting them, hey, I'm Terry. I run this label in Ohio, and we make this sort of music, and it's kin to these things, and hope you like it. I think we also benefit from, like, our music is sort of record store music, in my mind, at least. Like, I think about, when I think about going to record stores, I think about being turned on to things that I didn't know about, which might be like rare jazz or like cool underground soul records that I didn't know about, or just,
You're right.
you know,
You're right. And your packaging and everything is kind of an homage to that golden era too, of the labels and, you know, and the packaging and everything. So
yeah, and shops perceive that, you know,
They
they
do,
perceive
yeah.
like, oh wow, this is a tip-on gatefold, like,
yeah.
damn, like this is some primo shit.
Yeah.
And we tried we shifted to that in like 2016 and it was really inspired by Numero Group
Okay.
and Light in
Yeah.
the Attic, because I remember before that I was just like, you know, let's press some records,
Yeah.
you know, and then put them in the record jackets and cool, great. And then I remember looking at the Numero section one day at the store, like the original location, and being like, God damn, this Numero section just looks like a fucking Cadillac compared to the rest of these
That's right. Yeah.
weak ass sections, you know, like box sets and like double LP tip on gatefolds. And you're like, dude, you could just throw these records through the rest of these records and they would chop them up. And so we're like, cool, let's lean into that. And so
Yeah.
our vibe is, try to premier packaging, premier quality pressing, but like not audiophile prices.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
Because that's another, you know, the audiophile side of things really blew up in our retail space and definitely kind of like made me think twice about, like, you're paying $55 for Tapestry? Like,
Yeah.
God damn. That's
oh my gosh. I'm a sucker for that, man. There's the new Atlantic Record stuff, the 75th anniversary, or is it 100th anniversary? The acoustic sounds, those stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple of those that I want, but here in Canada, they're like $100 just for the single disc.
Dude, plaidroomrecords.com, buddy. We'll hook it up.
All right, I'm going there.
But you're right. Like, it's that was like, not to like sidetrack, but like the audiophile stuff was sort of the first foray we had into like online sales, because what happened was, you know, we had a handful in stock and we weren't selling a ton locally, but we were like, damn, we're selling a lot of these online. Right. And what happened is, because we had this online market, it didn't take away from the in-store experience. It augmented it.
Right.
Because, like, cool,
sure.
We have an online base. So yeah, if there's a new audiophile pressing from MoFi or Analog Productions or whoever, we're going to have it. And we're not just going to have one, we're going to have 50. So, like, you know, like, if you're a local person, you benefit from this massive national market by being able to browse, like,
that's right. Yeah, that's a good point.
10 rows of audiophile stuff. And that was like the first section that really grew like that. And then we were like, damn, we should maybe just start taking this approach with the entire store, with the whole catalog.
Yeah.
But also the packaging with that and how they market themselves. Because, I mean, they're trying to sell a $55 copy when there's a $22 copy over there, or a $7 copy used. And you go, how do you convince them to buy that $55 copy? And it starts with the hype sticker.
It sure does. And sometimes they're gold foil, silver foil, and it works, man. It works. Listen, I'm kind of in that demo. I always thought of record stores as like for like 40, 50-year-old guys. And now I find myself in that demo, God forbid. But, like, you know, I get really drawn to those records that you were talking about, and even records that I'm like, I don't know what this sounds like, but it looks really beautiful, and I imagine it's going to be great just because it looks super cool. And that's the thing too. I think we talked about this recently, and we talked about this in our label mates group, but it's like vinyl's a luxury. So like, kind of like you're saying, like lean into that idea that this is a luxury. Like people would argue with this, but we don't need vinyl. We certainly don't need vinyl as a way to hear the music. And so to understand that it's a luxury, I'm not interested in $20 records anymore, because I know that they're put together poorly. So to me, it's kind of like I'm now just streaming music, and then I'm buying like $40, $50 like really good records.
That's my thought is I would rather 100% agree. Like I think these things are already expensive as shit to make and to buy as a consumer. So like, why are you killing yourself over $1?
Yeah.
On the manufacturing side, or $1.50, when it's like, this is not this, we're not selling millions of this thing. We're selling thousands.
That's right.
So like, cool. Let's sell 2 to 3 to 4,000 really great products versus selling 2 to 3 to 4,000 and making a little bit more profit. Like, because also the profit is hilarious. Like it's not like that's what's at best, maybe a 2, 3, 4,000 run covers our marketing or some stuff like that. And we're like, oh, cool, we made a little bit of money on top. Great. Awesome. So I think, if you're going to make a record, if you're going to make records for the sake of just making records, that's silly.
Yeah.
Make cool records. Like make it feel, and that's our thing is like our records should be right around, most of them should be right around 24, 25 for a single LP in the store, but it should feel like a $35 or $40 record.
And I don't understand that, like, because it's kind of contradicting what you're saying a little bit. Like you could charge 35 for this, 45 for this. There's almost like a perceived value that you're leaving on the table.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, but I don't know.
And you're talking about the margins not being that great when they could be better.
Yeah, but it's just, it's a big jump from, I don't want to be the first one to jump in the pool. Because you know what I mean? Like because right now you have like us, which we're comparable with indie releases, like stuff from Secretly, stuff from Red Eye, whatever. We're comparable. And then you have majors, gouging everyone's eyes out. Yeah. And then you have the audiophile tier. And there's not necessarily contemporary labels doing new artist development rolling at a higher price tier.
I see.
And so that's the gap. I think about a lot the idea of like selling less copies at a higher price tier and going like, cool, we might be way better off if we do that. But it feels a little bit contradictory to like my general philosophy on trying to get records and make them accessible to people. I don't know.
For sure. And I would agree to that. Like if you're talking about a higher price point but less records, if the number ends up being the same in the end, the profit in the end, then, or even the gross in the end, then I agree with you. Get more music out there. It'll come back to you.
I think about it a lot because I look at our products sometimes, and especially when they're on the floor at the store, and I go like, our thing is the same cost as this thing, and this thing's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, but the other way to look at that is people might look at our records and go, I hope they look at them and go, this is a great value. This is a good value because I'm getting great music, great packaging, transparent about the manufacturing, and it's not costing me an arm and a leg.
There is something too about you're earning a little bit from the fans, a lot from the fans. You probably see this in the store. We've talked about this on the show now for 6 years straight about Trouble in Mind Records, and they had a policy too. And I mean, all of their artwork looked very similar, very colorful, very cool design. I think they were all reverse board, or the ones I have were reverse board, but they were all sub $20. They're all $18.99, $19.99, and you almost feel like I want to buy two because that price is so good.
Yeah,
and it was a good strategy.
Yeah, it's tough. Man, I miss the days of like $17.99 Sub Pop records. Yeah, because that was always I guess I also was looking at record labels that I respected, that I felt like did a good job, and those models 2016-ish for me were
Mm-hmm.
like Sub Pop, Daptone,
Mm-hmm.
I mean Numero Group. Numero Group stuff was always pretty accessible for what
Mm.
you were getting,
Yeah.
for the amount
Yeah.
of music you were getting. So it's a slippery slope. I worry about, I mean, we've had a couple expensive projects, and there has been feedback from retailers that were like, ooh, just it was a tough sell
Okay.
because it was expensive. And it's like,
Yeah.
not that anecdotal data is like
No, I
everything,
hear
but
you.
it's
I hear you. And how many people are walking away from it? How many people are putting it down? That's the thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like this one was scary. Like this one was scary
Yeah,
because I
so
was
tell me
like,
about this. This is because the other thing I want to ask you while you tell me about this, and again, folks listening on the podcast, we're going to look at this beautiful die cut Magic Eye, but it head over to YouTube or their Bandcamp to see it. I'm being mesmerized right now, but I'm curious about this, and I'm curious about like the role that artwork and color vinyl plays at the retail level. If you could also speak to that, and then why like. I was working on a design. I think I've ended up not doing it, but I was working on something that was going to include a die cut and an obi strip and a reverse board and a color record. And I'm thinking it might just be worth it, So tell me a little bit about that project, and then, what the role of artwork in the record store and color vinyl.
okay. So artwork, colored vinyl, packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Colored vinyl is super important from a retail or a D2C perspective in my mind.
Yeah.
I think the key for me is a balance, like not too many exclusives, but intentful exclusives, and making sure the color variants aren't like one isn't like inherently way cooler than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Like, we've run into a couple things where our D2C ends up like looking like not by design, but like ends up looking way cooler than the wide variant, and we're like, shit, like
Yeah,
people are
and
gonna
that
think we did
upset
this
the
on
record
purpose.
store. Yeah.
So trying to balance that stuff, but it is important. I think being transparent on the hype sticker, if it's limited or if it's
Sure.
unlimited. Our philosophy from a manufacturing and business standpoint is now we're essentially keeping a black and a color variant in print permanently.
Okay.
So we keep at least one color variant and a black variant in print side by side. Anything else will be, we do a lot of Bandcamp exclusives, D2C, of course, exclusive. Sometimes we'll do a certain retail partner exclusives. We've gone away from straight up indie exclusives only because, which sounds like I'm not supporting indies, but it became very, very hard to gauge how something was going to do at retail globally.
Mm.
And so we had a few pressings where we ended up like, we're out of our D2C, we're out of the black, we're out of the wide, but there's 600 indies sitting in the warehouse, and we're like,
And you're not supposed to sell them, or yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
we ended up just going, okay, let's pick the partners that are willing to commit, and then let's make a wide variant so that, if it crushes at indie, we'll favor indie.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't, we have the flexibility to put it to the big box stores, take some for our web store, or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Give some to the band for tour. So that's our sort of philosophy. But I mean, I'd say the ratio out the gate for pressing right now is like probably 2/3 to 3/4 colored wax on the front end, and then the rest black.
A quick question on black, because I had somebody talk me out of black, and just the way and I, as a music fan, as a collector, I'm kind of, I don't get excited about black, and I do get excited about color or clear. I really like clear and white. And so somebody said to me, somebody in the industry, a good friend who knows a lot, said to just really abandon black. And then so the last two records I didn't do black at all. And now I'm kind of wondering, because I've been hearing from, obviously DJs prefer black, and there's we talked to somebody recently, and their European distributor only wanted black. So it feels like I'm kind of backtracking a little bit and going, yeah, I might do what you're doing, and 1/3 of them or 25% should be black.
Yeah, I've had people say the same thing to me, like we just make all colored, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
doesn't feel
Yeah.
that feels like a because the other thing is it's important to, in my opinion, I think you want to introduce all the variants on the release date
Okay.
because there is an advantage to having that UPC set up with retailers from the jump because it is kind of hard to get them when you introduce a new
Okay.
color, say 4 months after.
Yeah.
It's hard to get it in the system because it's a new variant, but the release date was 4 months
Oh, I
ago or
see.
six
Okay.
months. And so it doesn't quite get the same push, the same solicitation that it does on the front end. Whereas if you have your wide color variant, your black variant, your limited stuff all set up at the same time, getting pushed through the distributors, when it sells out, it's easier for them to restock.
Yeah.
Whereas if they
Yeah.
don't have that new UPC in the system, they're not going to restock it because they don't even know that they don't have it.
The other reason I like black too, at the beginning, like you said, from the web store perspective and the Bandcamp perspective, there's a little bit of price anchoring where you can go, this color vinyl is $30. If you just had that, there's no options. And now when you say, actually, but this black one is $27, it almost drives everyone to the more expensive product, I feel like. So you kind of need to have it tiered in a psychological way. Do you agree?
We price color is more expensive to make. We price everything the same.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
you're full of hot takes, aren't you?
I am a hot take man. We
Look
price
at
everything
you.
sevens we do price differently. Sevens we do $1 more.
Okay.
Because the margins are just like pretty wild. But for LPs we just do them all the same. Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't tell you why. I can't give you a good reason why other than because I wanna.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But I get what you mean. I get what you mean about like, perceived value and like limitation and like I get it all. I'm just a pig farmer from Ohio, and I was just like, I'm just gonna. What is it? A record input? Make it $25. What color is it? Oh, it's yeller.
Yeah.
$25. Make it $25.
And then you have the people online who love to preach the fact that black is a color.
Oh, sure.
So
Black is all the color. It's all the colors, right?
It's all the colors. Yeah.
All the colors. I learned that in art class in elementary school. Okay, so wait, your other question was so color vinyl and then
artwork and packaging. And tell us a little bit about this die cut project.
So packaging matters to me and to retailers a lot, or to customers in retail a lot.
Yeah.
I think the easiest and cheapest way to add value to from a packaging standpoint is a gatefold.
Okay.
Because a gatefold is not that much more expensive. It's just a direct to board jacket.
Okay.
Not that much more expensive, but it definitely implies and feels more substantial than a standard just direct to board jacket.
Yeah. I think you might be right there, man.
I think gatefold adds a lot of value. I think artwork is crazy important. I would say I go to battle on art with our artists. I mean, there's like two of us that do most of the design for the label, and it's not because I'm a designer. It's because I know what I like, and what I like are things that stand the test of time. And like I definitely gravitate towards classic aesthetics, things like that. And it does matter. Yeah. It's just got to look.
I know.
It just got to look cool. Like, and you definitely can see when people design LPs that have previously designed CDs or just do digital, because you're like, that text is so big, bro.
Yes,
like,
I know. Especially on the back, the copyright and the barcode.
Dude, I mean, people, when you see a barcode that's as big as your hand, you're like, bro.
It's just been blown up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a beautiful, I love designing LP jackets. It's a beautiful canvas. It's a big canvas. And we're lucky to have like inspiration downstairs. We just go downstairs and like
that's
look
so
at
true. That's
look
so
at stuff
true.
and go like, what's cool? And like, especially when it comes to back design, I might enjoy more than anything else. And it's like sometimes it's hard to like be like, all right, how can I do this? What sort of layout? And then you just go downstairs and like look in the dollar bin, and you're just like,
Yeah.
damn, what a weird way to.
There was
I'm
some
biting that shit.
great covers back then.
Yeah, man. I definitely pull from like the Blue Note,
Sure.
Prestige,
Sure.
the Reed Miles shit, and a lot of that like late 60s cat major label
Yeah.
stuff is like there's some really just amazing design happening there. It does matter a lot, I think, but I think gatefold is cool. I think people love tip-ons.
Well,
Um,
the thing about gatefold, to interrupt you, that I
yeah,
really think is cool, because I was worrying about something I was working on yesterday, actually, is the gatefold gives you a spine, whereas the single version, you can get a spine, but it's not going to show up in someone's record collection.
yeah, it's pretty mellow. I mean, it's pretty tiny,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
We've there was a time when I wanted to do everything gatefold,
Mm-hmm.
tip-on, and we have like a particular spine. Like we put like a black bar for like the top 40% of every spine, so that when they have all their shit together, it like they all sort of line up.
Nice.
And but yeah, it's gatefold's easy. I think I care way a bit more about tip-ons than like most customers, quite honestly.
I don't
Like,
really like tip on.
oh,
Sorry to offend you.
hot take. That's a hot take.
Well, I find it, I like the paper to I like to feel the paper more. I like to feel like a canvas, like the art is printed on the canvas.
mm.
I'm just
I
not,
think I like
yeah.
I think I like the tip-ons just because all the old jazz records,
Yeah.
were like Impulse,
Right.
like those tip-ons with like the
Right.
high gloss shit.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Here's another thing people like.
Bags.
People like rice paper sleeves for,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Well,
people
it's
like that.
funny. This is funny. We've been talking for an hour, and I've gone through 2 questions out of 10. But
My
we're
bad.
just talking we're just talking about records, which I guess is the point. But the when you're talking about gatefold, I'm thinking, okay, that's going to increase the price a little bit, but it's going to give you more canvas to work with. But one of the things I love to do is I do like to do printed sleeve. That's where I go a little bit. I spend a little bit more money because I like when you
Yeah.
pull it out, how it can kind of impact. And I guess what you're doing, right? You have printed sleeve, so you have a plastic bag inside of a printed sleeve.
We don't, so we don't normally do printed sleeves.
Okay.
We did it on this one just because of like the nature of the design with
Yeah.
the die cut.
Yeah.
Which this die cut is a laser die cut and was pretty expensive.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
Yeah.
I mean, the design is incredible. Like it's crazy that it does that.
What is okay, folks who are listening who refuse to go to our YouTube channel, we're talking about like this, like, there's got to be, probably 100 little narrow cut columns on the front cover. And then the sleeve behind it looks like a Pantone paint swatch of hundreds of different colors. And so when you pull it, also in vertical columns, so when you pull it out, it gives you this mesmerizing, you can go to their website, coleminerecords.bandcamp.com, and see it, what we're talking about. What's it going to say on the hype sticker? How are you going to communicate that cool effect at retail, or even on Instagram and on your Bandcamp?
I think we have a couple videos that we're circulating around to retail.
Yeah.
And we put something on socials that shows it very clearly.
On Bandcamp, it shows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're trying to, but this was a big selling point for us because we were like, this shit, we're only going to do it on the first pressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's on the second, it'll just be like the standard digital art or whatever. But yeah, I think this is the wildest packaging I've ever done for sure. Like this is crazy. And we've done some cool die cuts. We've done a lot of different things over the years, but this one is like, shouts out to Stoughton and the folks at A to Z who help procure all this the packaging for us because it was like it was going to be a mish. But people do like the rice paper inner sleeves a lot. I mean, we sell tons of rice paper inner sleeves in the store, and people just replace all their paper sleeves with
Interesting. Why?
um people say that the paper sleeves like, scuff the records.
Yeah.
So these it's like another premium thing.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
every MoFi record comes with them, and ours are branded, which is fun.
No, it's incredible. I want to also ask you about, we got to go. We have to run. But I want to ask you about 7 inches because you have them on your website. You've got this kind of series, it seems to be going on. I mean, they have like kind of a consistent feel. Like they look like labels of the past. These 45s, I mean, I don't personally have a history with them. Just because I was born in the 80s, and so I barely had a history with vinyl. And even as a collector myself now, I don't really care for them, even though ironically, I did just buy 10 from a record store last weekend. But I don't like collecting them. They have different sleeves, different ways of housing them. There's no consistency. They don't look good in my collection. I'm always scared of them as an artist and as a label because I don't know if they're going to sell, and they cost quite a bit. Like they're not like, you would think that they would be 1/10 of the cost of a vinyl record just because they're like one song, but that's not the case.
Yeah, they're not.
Can you tell me a little bit about them and like who's buying them and what? I'm kind of surprised by your position on 7 inches 45s.
Well, that's how we started. That's like the foundation of the label.
Okay.
Was sevens. So the label traditionally, we've definitely broadened over the last few years, but traditionally heavy funk, deep soul, right? Catering to DJs primarily. And because of that, sevens are like very, very important, very, very foundational.
True.
Not necessarily something I expect people to like buy and like, casually just sit and listen to.
Yeah.
But it's definitely catering to the DJs.
Okay.
I think you have to be very particular and specific about what you put on a 7, because otherwise you will end up just sitting on a bunch of boxes of 7s that don't do anything.
Yeah.
So I think we try to gravitate towards, when I first started doing this, like the late aughts, I guess is what they called it.
Yeah, sure.
The late aughts. Everything was like up tempo funk. Like that was what you would put on the A side.
Right.
And that's still sort of true, but there's been this massive like slow and low sweet soul movement over the past 5 or 6 years, which we've been a big part of. And so now that's a whole thing. But that still is leaning into 45 and DJ culture. So the ideal 45 in my mind for me is like an up-tempo funk burner on the A and a sad, slow bastard shit on the B. Like that's like the quintessential perfect 45. We're lucky to have that bass because I don't think if you're pressing 500, you're going to have to creep the price up. Like there's no way you can get away with charging $699 and $799 if you're pressing 500 of a 45.
Okay.
So we benefit from the fact that we can generally sell 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 of any Colemine 45.
For sure. Yeah.
We make. So once you get up to there, you can afford to make them affordable. And quite honestly, 45s they serve a couple things for us. They serve to, it's a beautiful format because it's so much less work to make a dope 45.
You're right.
It's like the last experimental space. You can like make up a project, record 2 tracks, get some label art, and see if it works.
Right.
And see if people dig it. And it's an excuse to experiment. And then you have 2 digital assets, and some of our most profitable projects are one-off 45s.
Interesting.
That like got syncs or
a playlist.
Playlist. And you're like, cool, man. The 45 made a couple thousand, but the sync made 100,000.
Oh my gosh.
Like, cool. And it's like, because it's just so much less work than an LP campaign. An LP campaign is like, all right, let's go. Here true. We gotta start the machine up. Whereas a 45 is like, you have several moments for the campaign, but they're not cumbersome. You know, you got the pre-order announce, A side out on streaming, got the street date, and then maybe you put the B side out, you know, 6 weeks later on streaming. So it's like,
how much of the, when you're talking thousands, and by the way, you know, a lot of our listeners, there, when we're in quantities, we're talking hundreds, we're talking 100 or 200, and the numbers for 7-inch on 100 to 200 to 300 just does not work. It does not make sense. You'd have to sell them for $10 each, or more.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about DJs. I totally get that. I watch a lot of DJs who play your music or your kind of music, and they do 7 inches all the time. So that makes sense for them. And I can totally see that working. But like, what percentage of your customers are DJs of these 7 inches? Like, what type of customer who isn't a DJ is buying a 7-inch?
I think a collector that's like a really big fan of the label in general.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Just like they want everything. They want all the limited color variants.
Yeah.
I would say on a general, I'm trying to think the last 45 we announced. I could pull up our Shopify. Like I would say on a general 45 pre-order cycle, we might do, if it's 1,000, we could count on a third of that being D2C.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
And then the rest wholesale.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that sounds about right. But it is hard, man. If you're making 100, just don't make it.
No,
but it's, for us, it's a foundational piece of the label, and it's also like it's a vehicle for experimentation, and it's also from like a label artist relationship way. It's an easy, low commitment too, because like, let's see if we like working together.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
good idea.
Let's do a 7.
Good idea.
And then if you're like, oh man, you guys knocked it out of the park, and it was great to work with you, let's do an LP. But if not, you go, cool, we did that.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yeah. No, and that's a great point. And I do understand, you know, especially from the DJ standpoint, how it makes sense. Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. And I appreciate you sharing that information, because 7 inches are always kind of intriguing. I just don't know how to make it work.
I see a lot of people making them, and I'm like, you shouldn't have made this.
You shouldn't have made it. I completely agree. And I wonder too, because you mentioned this a little bit with the customers in your shop, if it's genre specific.
For 7s,
yeah,
I think big time. I think 7s are very much like DJ, soul, funk, reggae, deep groove. Like it's not something that you're like, yo, I made this indie rock song. It's like, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I would say to justify sometimes a 7 in that sort of setting is like if it's a really special thing, and it's you know there's momentum for it, and you know there's no LP coming from it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, let's just put this on a 7. Because I think having the physical component does automatically elevate it at the DSPs. Like it does give it a little bit more like not relevance, maybe. Like it just makes it a more robust thing instead of just being like, yo, we got 2 songs on streaming. Go.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit more like, oh, it's a thing. There's a physical component. There's a digital component. There's artwork.
I do feel that to be true, and I don't know if it's the algorithm who sniffs it out or if it's just the fans have more perceived value. But if I do a one-off single that's digital only, it's guaranteed to just kind of do okay. But then like the first single from an album that's coming out on vinyl in a couple of months is going to carry way more interest.
Yeah, people feel like it's real then. It's like,
real,
oh, this is a campaign.
It's part of the canon.
Yeah, they're rolling things out. I'm going to see this physically. They might tour. There's going to be all this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's another, we didn't get to touch on it. But you know, I mean, I'm down to chat if you want, but but if you got to go, that's cool. I think how physical touches streaming is like, it's a real thing for sure.
Well,
like,
are you saying, are physical impacting streaming? Like this sounds to me like a conspiracy theory. Can you elaborate a little bit?
No,
it feels like the algorithm knows that there's a physical copy out there.
No. I mean, like people that buy this record, right?
Yeah.
People that buy this record that either like the band, like the label, trust their store, whatever. They're not just if they like that record, they're gonna go stream it.
Yeah. Oh, for
That's
sure.
what I mean.
Yeah.
And I'm whereas if they didn't find out about this record because it was just a digital release, they might not ever find out about it. They might not care to go stream it. Whereas they have this physical connection with this thing or this label or artist or store. And so when they're going on a road trip and they want to know what to listen to, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I really like that record. I'm gonna put that on while I'm streaming. So like they all sort of
That's a great point. And I think it's about what I love about physical, but it's like a tangible connection to that artist. I mean, anecdotally, my Apple Music, my library, I'll add probably 7 to 10 new releases to that library every single week, just out of curiosity. I just stream in a couple of different things. Out of a given year, I might buy only 5 to 10 of those records. So if I'm streaming in the neighborhood of I don't know, like 500 albums. And by streaming, I mean like maybe just listening to it for a couple of minutes and being like, it's not my thing. But like I might be listening and enjoying anywhere between 200 to 300 records in a year, but only taking home 5 to 10 of them. So those ones are obviously really important. And I'm now like kind of, I've penetrated that ecosystem of that artist, and I'm now going to be aware of their next release. I might even be interested in their previous catalog. So I think you're right. It's to your point. Like there is all of a sudden, it cements the relationship a little bit more.
Yeah, and it does go back and forth too. You know, like you discover something on the algorithm, and you're like, you know, the number of sales we see on our Shopify via Spotify for artists. In the beginning, it was like hilarious because it was just like nothing.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty fair amount of stuff now. And it's like, that's amazing because you're like, these are people that are on Spotify. Because if they're buying it on Spotify, they damn well have not bought from us before, probably.
Right.
Because otherwise they'd just be like, I'll go over here to Colemine.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, if they're buying it from Spotify, that's a new fan. That's a new email. That's a new phone number. Like that's wild. It's only a matter of time till they start obviously taxing us on that stuff some way. Spotify,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That day is coming. I can't wait. But yeah, it's it's an ecosystem. Like sort of like what you were saying about you're in that artist ecosystem. And to me, I'm gonna put this on a t-shirt, but like the best way to support the entire ecosystem still is buying a record from a record store because and I say that as somebody that sells a lot of records from our website, right? But to me, that puts a little bit of money in the shop, the distributor, the label, and the artist. Like it supports the whole thing because like without that, if one is getting rich and the other is poor, then it's like the whole thing falls apart.
Well, and I mean, I know this has been talked about a lot, but there has to be something to the fact that as vinyl has skyrocketed from the early aughts, at the same time as digital, at the same time as iTunes, and then when it hockey sticked up as streaming came along in 2015, it's following streaming, and I feel like there's obviously something to that. There's something. It to me, it's a yin and yang. It's like, yes, the streaming is great, it's convenient, but this physical product, I need to have something real in my life, So I feel like they're super connected.
People want to own things.
Yeah.
People. I mean, none of us own our streaming collection.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be taken away at any time. So I think, and like you said earlier, like you might listen to this many records, but people are purposeful with what they're purchasing. They're like, I really like this record.
Yeah.
And then it puts it over the top when it's like, oh man, the packaging's cool. Or I follow them on socials and they're fun and cool and I want to support them.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other. What other questions did you have? I got to know these other questions. I'm always going to be wondering otherwise, dude.
Well, no, there's not. I mean, really. Okay, so with every interview, there's the important questions that come from the from your website and from me diving in. The 7 inches I was curious about, the record store I was curious about, but I always will have like the history of the label. These are always kind of like backups. I personally don't care about people's history of the labels because, like, I mean, sometimes there's interesting history, but it's all about what we're doing now and what people have created. But I always like to have the origin story as a backup question for when some guests will answer questions like really fast. You know what I mean? Like they'll answer like yes or no, and so then I need to have a couple on the back end. I was curious a little bit about your subsidiaries, and I mean,
oh yeah, dude.
On that note too, and we do have to run because we got the sponsors' money, so I don't have to make these episodes that long. But I'm curious about the multiple revenue streams, and we talked about it a little bit from the standpoint of having the record store, and I'm just very curious because you're so analytical and you have these subsidiaries as well. You talked a little bit about sync. Tell me about the role of multiple revenue streams and your strategy with that.
Yeah. So like I said, the shop is pretty consistent. Shop is steady as she goes, does its thing. From a multiple, revenue type of stream from the label side of things, we try to set things up so that the physical can cover maybe all the costs of a project, whether that's marketing, manufacturing, other stuff, and then hopefully put the project in a position to succeed and really profit digitally and physically. So, if we have a $20,000 marketing budget and we're like, all right, we think we can sell 6,000 LPs, then all right, 6,000 LPs should, that should do it. That should cover our manufacturing. That should cover our marketing. And then now we're in a position we're already in the black. And now the streaming and sync is like true. That's now we're going to actually make profit. So that's sort of my philosophy on which it gets hard when you have things that maybe have massive streaming potential, but not physical potential. You have to adjust the strategy. So if you have somebody that you can only sell 1,000 copies of their record, but you might just destroy with streaming, you got to sort of be like, okay, well, the physical is not going to cover our stuff, but we also have to know like it's going to stream really, really well.
What's the evidence that would give you that would let you know that
something's going to stream well
versus and not do well physically?
I mean, that would just be like historical for us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Or like
that's not something you could gauge on a brand new artist.
I don't know. It'd be really hard.
Yeah.
My philosophy when we sign an artist, like the types of deals we're signing, we're either signing one LP, 45 deals sometimes, one LP deals sometimes, but a lot of like 3 LP development deals. And the development deals, the first LP is sort of like, let's gather data. Let's keep stuff mellow. Let's like spend where there is like high returns, known returns. Let's lay foundational work at DSPs with sync supervisors and with retailers. And then let's assess. And then let's talk about what our strategy on the LP2 is. Because sometimes artists and managers just want to go hard on LP1. And I'm like, yo, if we blow the bank on LP1 and nobody feels good, how are we going to feel looking at each other in a year going, let's do it again?
Right.
And the answer is not great.
Yeah.
So, my philosophy is that is when it comes to development is like slow and steady, lean into organic as much as possible, lean into things that are cost effective and follow the momentum.
And there's a lot of bands historically that a lot of case studies where you could say that it was album number 2 or album number 3 or album number 4 where they kind of took off and they needed that runway. The problem with that strategy is that no artist wants to hear that their first album is going to be okay. They all want it to be their breakthrough album.
Yeah. And I think 100%. And I'm very much a person that like I am a people pleaser. And I think I've had to get a lot better about saying no.
Right.
Or just being like, hey, you know what? Maybe we're not the right fit then because I'm not willing to, we don't have the unlimited money. I can't I can't take a huge risk on every project, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
We might have one or two things that we can take some big risks on, but for the most part, most of our releases, we generally know how much profit they're going to make,
Hmm.
plus or minus 10 or 15%. You know, we can't predict a sync, obviously.
Yeah.
I wish I could, that'd be tight. But we, for the most part, we know. So we take small risks, and you know, it sort of feels like this. Whenever I have to tell people like what I do, it doesn't make any sense to anyone. And the only analogy I can ever make from like a fiscal standpoint that seems to make sense for people is like when you compare it to like stocks,
Right.
and if it's like high risk, low risk type of thing, then
Yeah.
it's like you can't fill your portfolio, your label catalog with like all high risks
That's
because
true. Yeah.
you
That's a
probably
good point.
you won't be existing. But if you have a little high risk and then a lot of like, all right, what's this? Instrumental boom bap stuff?
Yeah.
Probably gonna do fine.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
let me put your transparency to the test. So if you're doing a one album deal, is this a license agreement? Like how long do you have of that album, access to that album to see the long tail of it?
yeah, so our deals are mostly they start at like 5 years.
Okay. That's
They're
pretty good.
licensed.
Wow.
Yeah. My thing is my philosophy is they're 5 years or until recoupment of the entire advance. So like if your shit's still in the red, I guess I still have it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
you know,
that's fair.
so but my thought is I want to earn artists' trust by the label services. I want them to look around and go, why would I go anywhere else?
Right.
I want them to be like, which is why I'm not hung up necessarily on like master ownership versus license deals. Cause like I want them to look around in 5 years and go, like, man, we made a little bit of money. Let's just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure you've dealt with it. Like some artists think that, oh, I could do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm like, you should go do
it. Yeah. It's
and
true.
we've had artists start labels, and you know, sometimes it's like, you know, then you see how difficult it really is to like get any sort of headway, you know, to break through in any sort of capacity because it's hard. But yeah, 5 year licenses are our 3 LP deals are normally like, you know, it'll be like 5 years from the release of the last LP usually.
Okay. Yeah.
That also depends on the advance amount and the marketing commitment.
Yeah.
So they're just a give and take. So if
Yeah.
you want a bunch of money, then like, okay, I'm going to need to guarantee, you know, a longer term.
So you have this infrastructure in place where you're investing, you're giving artists advances, you have record stores that admire you, you have fans that collect what you put out. So how long is the line of artists trying to get signed to your label?
Based on the number of demos we get, it does feel like a lot.
Yeah. And so how are you kind of like, you know, figuring that out and deciding who goes into that high risk or who goes into that, you know, sure bet?
I think that question is probably similar to like what differentiates Colemine from Karma Chief. The answer probably only lives like between my ears, I guess. But like I think I've always just trusted my gut when it comes to A&R. Like I never think about marketability. I think about two things. I think about, do I like this record a lot? And do I like this person a lot? And can I see myself working successfully with them for a number of years? And
man, those are the two things. That is so incredible. You put your finger on that. That's huge.
Those are the two. If the answer is no to either of those, then it's not. It's not.
And there's so many times where there will be a resounding yes for one of them and then a maybe for the other.
Yeah, man.
It
has to be there.
Yeah.
It has to be there. Because there are plenty of times that I can think of like people that I really liked.
Yeah.
People that I really liked. People that I was like, damn, you're cool. Damn, you're talented. You're driven,
Yeah.
but it's just not quite there for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
even if it's marketable, but it's just like, it's just not my thing. And I
yeah.
know
So
if I
good.
feel that way right now, I'm not going to go into it. I can't look at a retailer honestly and be like, "Hey, check out this pretty okay record."
Yeah.
It's like
Oh my
I want to
gosh.
I want to believe it. So
Yeah.
those two things, marketability is like fifth or sixth on the list. It's pretty low. The first two are musts, and then I think after those two, and after what happens to me for me is like after those two, then the next conversation is expectations
Okay.
because that is where historically we've had conflict, not like a ton, but
Yeah.
like where you have conflict is when you have you know, there's some phrase that my sister-in-law said to me, like unstated expectations are premeditated resentments,
Oh, for
like,
sure. Yeah,
like,
for
and,
sure.
and so we start with, what do you want to do? What are
Yeah.
you hoping to do?
Yeah.
And then we go, here's what we think we can do.
Yeah.
Um, and here's how we're going to try to do it. And, because then you can actually measure your success. At the end of a campaign, you can be like, hey, look, we said XYZ and we did XYZ. Otherwise, you're just at the end of the campaign and you're like, well, we did a lot. And
And
the artist is like, but you didn't do enough.
and it's so good of you to say that because artists might say, listen, I just need to make rent, and I want to keep making music. That's their number one priority. I don't care how you get to that destination. Other artists may say, I want this record to be pressed beautifully and I want it available to the people who I think will love this record, and
Mm-hmm.
money's not an issue. So everybody has their own little
Yep.
goal.
Yeah. And I mean, and if they are not stated, then how can you put a plan in place?
For sure.
Like, how can
Yeah.
you put a plan in place that's going to make anybody happy? But that took me a long time because
Same.
we sort of
Yeah.
had a one size fits all sort of approach. We like,
Yeah.
well, here's this thing that we do that works. So we're going to just do that.
And there's an arrogance too. I think any label that's been around for more than 2 years, you just assume that the artist knows how things operate at your
Yes.
place, and it's like, oh, you didn't know that,
Yes.
Yeah.
You just assume. Yeah, man, it's tough. But yeah, our deals are.
What about the subsidiary thing? Explain that. We got to run, but tell me how that works.
Yeah, so Karma Chief is the inverse of Colemine. So
Okay.
Colemine has a very like narrow sound. Like
Yeah.
it is a very particular type of sound that, again, it's probably only me and a few people that could be like, that's Colemine, that's Karma Chief.
Okay.
But it's mostly, traditional R&B, traditional soul, deep funk,
Yeah.
jazz, like the roots of the label. Karma Chief started when, as we were running the store and like kind of getting exposed to a lot of new cool stuff that we liked, we were like, man, it'd be fun to put out a blah record, or this type of record. Like that would be fun. We like other music, obviously. And so the first project we signed to Karma Chief was Black Pumas. And because that felt distinctly contemporary, but it felt like it would also resonate with Colemine people.
Right.
So really, Karma Chief truly exists it's just things that are outside of Colemine, and it really exists as like an indicator to Colemine original fans and hardcore Colemine people that like, hey, this is still curated by me, but it's different.
Yeah.
You might like it. You might like it more. You might like it less, but it's different. Because
are they all sorry to interrupt you. Are they all high risk in that high risk category in your mind?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would say Karma Chief, honestly, I would say Colemine has like a pretty real solid foundation, and the ceiling for Colemine artists in general might be lower than the ceiling for Karma Chief artists.
Oh, okay.
But the risk also might be lower for Karma Chief.
Okay.
So I think it's a wider, it's
Okay.
more just a full spectrum label, like Say She is on Karma Chief and they're killing it, and but we've got lots of like developing acts on Karma Chief. Whereas like Colemine, you can kind of put nobody on, and you put Colemine on it, there's just a certain amount of buy-in that people are like, oh, it must sound somewhere like this.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. That's really cool to know. And I mean, yeah, I'm kind of curious how that does. So does that does Karma Chief benefit from the machine that Colemine has created?
Yeah, I mean it's the same. Like it's the same.
You do everything the same, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Chris Swanson from Secretly when I was talking about making Karma Chief. He was like, he and I went back and forth about it, like whether to just broaden Colemine because Colemine had such a strong brand, or to whether distinguish.
That's a great point.
And because you mean looking back, I'm like maybe I should have just kept it one, but I like super serving Colemine fans, and to me, the existence of Karma Chief is a service to hardcore Colemine fans because it serves as an indicator that like still me A&Ring, but it might be sad boy country rock,
right?
You know,
right.
It's not going to be deep funk.
We're going to protect this. It's you saying we're going to protect this Colemine brand.
100%.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's also just fun. You know, it just it makes me not think twice about like when I like a project and I'm like, ooh, because I mean there was a long time where projects would come our way and we'd be like, oh, this is really dope, but this is not Colemine.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Now it's like, oh, we got an answer.
Yeah. No, that's great. Oh man, we could do a whole episode on that one day. I think we should do another episode at some point. This could be a two-parter. But thank you so much for sharing everything and your transparency. And I had a blast. I want to listen to this again. One of my things that I love about doing this podcast, which is a secret little freebie, is I get good advice. So now I'm going to be thinking about, I'm definitely going to do a hype sticker. I'm thinking I'm going to get quotes for the gatefold. I love it. Thank you so much.
Dude. No, thanks for having me on. I think did you have Abby on before? Goldsmith?
Yep.
Dude, Abby. I've known Abby for a long time. She's
great.
Shit, man.
Yeah, about 10 months ago. Yeah, that was a fantastic episode too. I mean, that was a big breakthrough in demystifying the world of download codes. She put those to bed. To death. She put them in the coffin.
That's a whole thing. We just quit doing drop cards like
yeah.
Top of 2023.
She kind of nailed that coffin shut for I think a lot of our listeners.